We're live, guys. How you doing, John?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
John was getting ready to go off, and he just reels it back in.
Then I went live. He was gonna tell us something spicy, and then got nervous. Jackie, shows at 6:30 daylight savings time. You guys adjusted yet?
Yeah, it was pretty easy. I thought this one's the easy one.
You just slept longer, and you're good.
You guys don't have kids though. Mine are at least getting old enough. When you have young kids, they don't care about the sleep time change, and so they wake up the same time and never sleep in.
My cats knew. They're like, it's friggin' dinner time, and I'm like, it's not. You got an hour.
Odd. What is happening? What's going on? Is there anything in the CrossFit space today, or are we just gonna chat? Yeah. Before we start, two things. First, make sure if you're watching and you're not subscribing, go do that first. And then if you see there, Thirdsy, proud sponsor of the Barbell Spin podcast. Use code BBS, save 20%. Great sleep. Yeah. So make sure you support those guys over there and help your sleep. All right. So the 2024 CrossFit Games season. Lots of information. I think the reaction is mixed. I've seen people happy. I've seen people frustrated. I've seen people, I guess, for lack of better words, angry at it.
It's division dependent.
Yeah. Before we get your thoughts on it, I kind of want to just run through what the structure is, what's happening, and then we can kind of dig into each of the pieces and see what our thoughts are on each of those. So this afternoon, CrossFit announced the 2024 CrossFit Games season. The Open is still 3 weeks. It is 2 weeks later than it was last year. Still that same type of 3-week Open. That's where things start to change. So if you think about individuals, actually everybody, and if you watched the CrossFit podcast today with Chase and Adrian, it was a lot to do with what Castro brought to the table. He wanted it consistent and easy to remember, and so he thought quarterfinals, top 25%. We'll get into why I think that's the public public messaging, but not the internal messaging. But top 25% out of every region go to quarterfinals. So individuals, masters, and age group, those that have the quarterfinals, adaptives do not, they have it. And so all those are in April. The teams quarterfinals are on April 3rd. It's 5 days. And then the individuals and age groups are on April 17th to the 22nd. That programming will be the exact same. And what Adrian said on the podcast with Chase was that the quarterfinal programming will need to reflect more participants and is somewhat of an extension of the Open. Basically, they're going to change the programming to they won't stop you in your tracks right out of the gate. Then from there, the age groups will have semifinals. That is narrowed down to the top 200. Previously, it was top 30, still online. The individuals and teams will start having their in-person semifinals. The top 40 men and women and top 30 teams will go to each of the 7 semifinals, which are all the same. That's a decrease or increase depending on which region you're in. So there is
it's more simple.
There's no 60 field super semifinals. They're all 40. And then with the adaptives, they do add semifinals. So there will be a semifinals. I think it's the top 20 advance to the semifinals presented by WheelWOD. And then the games. And for the adaptives, there'll be the top 10 from all 15 divisions will make it to the in-person games. This past year, there's only 3 divisions. There were 8 total. 8 Adrian also in that podcast definitely referred to, they just didn't have the capacity to do what they needed to for the adaptive. So WheelWOD has stepped in and do that. Teenagers, the top 30 for each division will be at their Teenage CrossFit Games hosted by the Pit Teen Throwdown. Masters, now the top 40 men and women from 35 to 39, all the way through 45 to 49. We'll get 40 athletes, then 30 in the 50 to 59 age groups, and then 20 for the 60 to 64 and the 65 plus. On the teams, only top 30, which in the communications I had gotten from CrossFit ahead of the announcement, they didn't say that there was only going to be 30. They said it was still to be announced at a later date. Well, that later date was right now. So from 38 teams down to 30 at the games, August 8th through 11th, and the individual will still keep 40. How they divvy those up, that is still to be determined. So that's kind of the rundown. I mean, it's not that different, but there's enough differences that I think it's definitely worth spending quite a bit of time on to get a sense of what we think. So before we get into the details of it, Brian Spin is still missing quarterfinals. Maybe. I'm a lot closer.
Are you going to be pushed
no
to make
way.
it now?
I was close last year if it was a top 25%.
So you're solid now. Yeah, you're solid now.
Was close. So we'll see. I just do it in my garage for fun. I don't really, I have no grand visions of ever making it to semifinals or even the games in my master's age group, but I'll just do it for fun and try that out. All right. Before we get into the details, Tyler, just general thoughts on what we heard today.
There was a lot of public speak. It was sanitized, I guess. Chase did a great job, I thought, when he interviewed Adrian. But I think so there's good and bad. I think it's great for the adaptives. I think it's great for anybody for any of the age divisions. But then everything goes to shit after that. That's my opinion. And I think Adrian had a company line that he was following. I think that whole session was coached, or that they gave him a line to follow and he followed it, and that's fine. And yeah, that's like my broad. Yeah,
we'll get into what you really think here in a second. John, any general reaction to what you saw? Because I did get some embargoed information ahead of time. I did not share with you guys. So you guys saw it when it first came out, based on how it came, how it was distributed on social media, et cetera. So what was your first reaction, John?
Yeah, I mean, I think Masters made out better than everybody else. I think like if you look at the percentage of the top 10 people went to the games, and now it's top 40 for half of them, top 30, and then top 20 for the last 60. Like that's infinitely more people. That's like saying the top 150 individuals get to go to the games, like in your region, right? Like that. Yeah. Like if it was spread, what happened with Masters, if it was spread to individual guys, I got a shot at making the games this year. Like that's the gap. That's how much more people are going from Masters that
yeah, they didn't even make it to semifinals.
Weren't before. And now, I mean, it makes sense now that they have their own competition, because it's not just 10 people, it's legitimate games. They honestly could probably do more events now. Like that whole thing can be blown up so much more than it has been, and more attention can be given to them because it's going to be on a different date. Like it's going to be like a games, right?
Right.
As far as I think individual people got screwed a little bit, but
mark it down.
Mark it down.
But I have honest thoughts on that like I want to hold until we get into it individually. I know we'll take every topic base by base. So I think fringe people kind of get screwed a little bit as far as individual side. I think masters make out really, really well. Adaptive athletes as well. It's funny because I don't know if I feel like they're hearing the noise that we give too much interest to individuals, even though that's the main show. And in my opinion, it feels like that's what CrossFit, like they heard that. And then they're like, okay, well, we're going to do everything that y'all want us to do. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not. And I think it's really hard to judge something until it happens. You know what I mean? So until we see a year of it, I don't want to make like a hard stance on it. But I think the 25% thing is the most stupid thing out of all of it. I guess I'll wait till we start, till we take it topic by topic. But I think that part, the top 25% make quarterfinals. I think that's who's supposed to close their ears, Mikey Swoosh or Sporty. But that part's retarded. Okay, like it's bad. It's bad. But those are my general thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, CrossFit definitely worked on getting out a concerted effort across all their social media channels, sending out to emails, etc. I do think
maybe we should applaud them for that part. Like, don't skip past that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they had contracted with Pedro. He did a very good job. He was working with Becky Harsh, and so let's take a look.
2024 CrossFit Games. Dave hinted at some exciting changes coming this Wednesday, and boy was he wrong. First off, if you were holding out some faint irrational hope at a longer open, you were wrong. We're getting more bang for your buck. Why give you 5 weeks for the price of 3 when we can give you 3 weeks for the price of 5? Quarterfinals, more athletes move on, meaning more dollar bills for us. We also have increased semifinal spots for adaptive and age group athletes, meaning an increased source of revenue from a group that we had barely scratched the surface on. Moving on to semifinals, less athletes from stronger regions like North America East, West, and...
What's that, John?
I said, I feel like that part is pretty true.
I mean, hey, he did a very good...
don't even think that's wrong.
No, I mean, Pedro was... I mean, this was not fake news. This was legit, even with the costume changes.
Most of the fake news is pretty true.
Europe, so as to lower the talent pool and more athletes into historically weaker regions, so as to prove ourselves right eventually on the worldwide ranking system. Now the important stuff, like the semifinals, where are they going to be and what are they going to look like? Nuh-uh. Dave said an exciting announcement, and you know what an exciting announcement means, right? It's not this.
That was good.
This is so good.
Yeah.
There are talents that everybody has, and I don't have that one, and I'm so glad that he does. It's just so good.
The satire, the serious satire.
Yes. Yeah. He
does it. He does it really, really well.
He was looking good too. He was very dressed up. Okay. So
we'll start with it like open and on, make our way down. That would make the most sense.
Take a shot and then bite the lime. Like, let's have a little good with a little bad.
Yeah. Before we do that, why was Becky in a closet? I think that she was in some room with, looks like a college kid's room or something like that. I don't know.
It took me a little bit to realize what he was talking about. I thought he was saying she was a lesbian.
Come on, John.
The comments are never serious.
She's happily married.
I have to try to decipher the comments every single time we're on here.
Pedro is hilarious. Okay, the Open, 3 weeks, begins February 29th, runs through March 18th. We had talked about it maybe a week or two ago about, do we like the 3 weeks or the 5 weeks? We were pretty set on, we all kind of like the 5 weeks standpoint of it. Any thoughts?
No issue.
No issue on this?
Nope.
So
no thoughts. It's like, I mean, nothing changed.
What?
Right.
And we talked about this earlier. You guys don't have kids. what
Not-
happens
not
in
that I know of.
mid-March? Spring break.
Spring break.
Colds?
Spring break.
Colds.
No, so you have spring break.
break.
And so I went back and looked, like, because when we did have a 5-week open, there was spring, it did cover through March, part of March, and there was spring break. But if you listen to Dave Castro's Week in Review, part of the reason for staying at 3 weeks is he saw a drop off in weeks 4 and 5. Some of that is just I'm getting burned out on it. But how much was it? I'm going with my family to the beach or wherever
Sure.
for spring break, and I'm not going to go track down an affiliate and do it elsewhere.
Right. Which
do
is
you
the
think-
worst. I've done that before, and it's terrible.
Do you think that will have any impact on who registers?
What, it being
Spring
3
break?
weeks versus 5 weeks?
No,
the
having
placement in the
spring
year.
break in the second or third week, like the second or third week, like
I don't think so. It's not hard to do one workout.
I mean, registration. I don't think it'll bog it down. I think people I don't think a lot of people think far enough ahead to be like, well, we're
No.
gonna be on
And
spring
it's
break
not
that week.
expensive. Like
No.
I think you might have people that do the first 2 workouts and not the last one. It might be something like that. But I don't think you still want to be a part of the community. Like that's the workout that your whole gym is gonna do. On that Friday or
Right.
so like I don't think so.
see,
You think it
I-
will?
So with it being in the
You're
middle
going
of
with kids.
yeah, with it being in the middle of, like, if it was 5 weeks, right, and you're signing up 3-4 weeks ahead of time, you may not think about it, or like, oh yeah, I'll be able to do that. If it's like the next week, right, when you're getting ready to, maybe you do the first week of the open with your affiliate, but you haven't paid yet because you haven't submitted your score, and then you realize, hey, I'm leaving for spring break in 3 days or 4 days, whatever. Do you go,
I feel like you're picking a really niche thing right now, Brian. I really do.
you don't
to
have kids.
me-
You it's a big deal. I mean, if you're going out to, somewhere, do you want to go try to find a time and find an affiliate where to drop in to be able to do that?
To me, it begs the question, why even sign up for the open? Like, if you're not trying to compete, why sign up for the open at all? Like, that's what
he's saying. That's
shows
what he's
me.
saying, though. He's
I'm
saying,
going to say, if you submit one score, but you don't do the second and third, or one of them, like, why would you do it? Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think it does impact, even if it's just a small percentage. Like, some people would have it, and I guess I don't understand
if
why would we move it back 2 weeks?
If it's 2%,
your
that's still a
problem
lot of
is the
money.
date.
Yes.
The date, yeah, the 3 weeks of the open.
Like,
Okay. Well, I will.
Yeah.
I would just say like I'm unknowledgeable on
well,
that.
Mama Young disagrees with you, John.
Yeah, I think if it's worth anything to you, you don't plan a cruise that week. Like, if you know the
Right,
open's
but
going to
then
be
why sign
in
up?
that time, but no, it's going to be around this time every single year. Like,
It
know
ended-
that.
First week of March last time, right before spring break usually starts. It's usually like the second and third week of March.
Like late February, all of March, I wouldn't schedule a
You're trying to get-
cruise.
You're
But I
going
don't
to
have family. I don't have a family. I don't have anything like that. That's like the only
Right.
time you can do something. Then that's worth
Hear
it
that,
more
Shelly?
to you.
You're nobody to John.
No, I get that. You know the open's going to be at this time.
You don't pick spring break though, John. You get 1 week.
No, but I mean,
you
then your
get up and
cruise
you
was
go.
worth more to you than the open, and that's fine.
Yes.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, Mom. But like, plan it in January. Like you know the open is gonna be at this time.
Well, we'll wait till you guys have kids, and then we'll revisit this in a couple years.
I'll promise you that.
You just deal with it, kids. You're not going anywhere. All right. Well, that's my only thing.
Again, I have no children. I have no family except for my wife and 2 corgis, and we don't do anything. So
Right.
I'm
And
very,
again, I think plenty stay in town. I think some will try to figure it out. But could there be some small impact? It may not even be noticeable, but I think there will be some people who don't do it that may have.
I bet it's 2 to 5% for sure. Like, it
Yeah.
could
I
be
don't
an
do-
extra
I-
2 to 5%.
I could see
Right.
that. I could see that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's considerable cash. So
I mean, that's 5% less on quarterfinals too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which we need all the help we can get.
We do. We do. And then the Open, so Adaptive's CrossFit will basically not be touching any of that. So WheelWOD is taking it over completely. So WheelWOD adaptive athletes will register at WheelWOD's website and just go straight through them. They're working with CrossFit in conjunction to figure out and kind of modify those workouts to be similar. But adaptives will be basically, I mean, it's handed off. Like there's nobody within CrossFit that's going to be worrying about those, which after last year is probably a good thing. Let's see. What did
Where are you going for
Bosman.
spring break, Brian?
I don't know where I'm going. Might go somewhere. I'll have to figure out where to work out.
Feels like you got a trip.
You don't want to stress out about it. It's the point.
Exactly. I don't have to try to figure out where I'm going to go get my workout in. My home gym is perfect.
Oh man, first world probs. Am I right?
It is. One of the things on the Open that Adrian discussed is that floor plans have been a big topic throughout.
I was glad they brought that up. I didn't think they would talk about that. That was a neat little interjection.
Yeah. So they basically, what he said is that, their intent this year is to make the floor plans as minimal as possible to the extent that they can. But what Bosman said is without floor plans, we have seen athletes do some sketchy things. We've kind of talked about this in the past. I mean, especially when it came to like Rogue and all the crazy rules.
Sketchy as in safety, okay, maybe, but I mean,
isn't it on
you're at
you?
your own. Yeah, that's on you. You hurt yourself doing dumb shit. I'm like, I don't think CrossFit can be sued for the Open anyway. Like it's all part of their when you sign up.
You sign a waiver. You sign
a
it.
waiver.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically what they're saying is they're going to do minimal implementation, and those will be for safety. So I think the example was if there's a rower and there's chest to bar pull-ups, you have to have the rower so far away from the pull-up bar so that you don't just do your last rep and go flying down on the seat of the rower and start rowing, which if you could do that, more power to you. But
none of the pros have ever done that.
Yeah.
It's like
Vellner did that.
Yeah.
But
did he really? Oh yeah, I remember that.
I probably Fikowski too. And we've had this talk before about transitions. I think it's a skill to be able to transition quickly, and like it only takes more fitness to be able to do that. You're only making the workout harder cardiovascularly for yourself, and if you're able to do that, then I think you should be rewarded for it. But it's if CrossFit's like, this is how we're going to do it, this is our reasoning, I don't have a problem with it. I don't care about safety if you sign a waiver. If you are hurting yourself on the Open workout, you weren't going to make the games anyway. You know what I mean? So,
especially now that it's 25%.
If that was your reasoning, though, if that's like, I like that they gave a reasoning. Like this is why we want it to be this way. This is how it's going to be. I'm fine with it. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, if you listen to JR on Savon's podcast this afternoon, like he's a little frustrated with all of it. I mean, he obviously owns a very large gym, lots of tape going down, lots of requirements. He has a big gym, so he probably has the space. But a lot of gyms don't have that space. And you start talking about 25-foot runways and camera setups and things like that. It's quite onerous when you have to start separating and spreading stuff out in a tough way. You mentioned it, Tyler. I think the biggest change is 25% advancing to quarterfinals. John, how much do you love this?
I just feel like it makes the Open even more pointless than it already is. Like anybody who is decently fit makes quarterfinals. And by decently fit, I mean you can do all the CrossFit stuff, right? Like
you're
mean
training.
Like,
you're actually
yes,
training to compete.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you're the best person. Like if you're the best person at your gym, you're probably going to make quarterfinals, right?
Mhm.
And like you can do all this stuff. Like Brian, I know you're pretty respiratorily fit, but like the gymnastics, you just don't have it, or like the strength, you just don't
The
have
strength
it.
piece that I don't have for sure.
Like you can't snatch 185, or you know something like that. That's what's holding you back, and that's why you don't make quarterfinals. And that's fine. I'm talking like generally, if you're pretty fit at everything, not elite at anything, but pretty fit at everything. Tyler's a good example of this. I mean, he's really good at certain gymnastics, but I would say you're a good example of this. You're going to make quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And
I'm not
in the
going to do
top
great,
10%.
but I'll make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're pretty fit all around. You don't have any holes. You're not elite at anything. Then you'll make quarterfinals, and that's top 10%. And like I think that's something that people should strive for. It's like a little bit easier than making regionals back in the day.
It's a
But
lot
not-
easier than making a lot easier than making regionals.
Well, I'm talking about relative fitness. I bet you Tyler can make the South Regional in 2013.
Probably. I've looked into it. I think
Like,
I
they're
could've
pretty
made that.
rough. They're pretty rough. No offense
Fair.
to Chase, but that's the only reason he made it.
Ooh.
Oh, he'll tell you that too.
No, he
He's like, I got, and
Yeah.
the scoring was weird that year. So
But
yeah, he
my-
got
my-
2 helps.
My point is, it's something everybody that goes to the gym can strive for, right?
Right.
And like making quarterfinals, like, that's a big deal. Like you should be really proud of that. You worked really hard, and like that's what you get to show for it.
And you're talking about at 10%.
Yes. And now
And that's
it's very easy. It's gonna be very
I wanna
easy to
bring
make
it.
it. And my biggest problem is not with the 25%. It really isn't. It's about what the programming is going to be because of that. Like they said, the age group and the individuals is going to be the same programming, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
That makes me think if the top 25%, which is infinitely more people, and yes, it's just so they can have more money. Again, I don't care if they want more money. That's fine. Get all the people you want. Top 50%. It's fine. But I want the programming to be what it should be to get the 40 best guys to semifinals. And when you have a watered down pool like you're going to, will that affect the programming at all? Like, I don't think they're going to if they program how they did last year, or similar to like different workouts, but like difficulty
Then we
wise,
won't say anything.
then I'm good with it. I
Yeah.
really am. If there's freaking 200 GHDs and we got a whole bunch of people with rhabdo, but we don't care because they signed a waiver and they want to do it, they're fine. If we got ring muscle ups and workouts, we got deficit handstand push-ups and workouts, we got handstand walking 300 feet in workouts. Like you got snatches that go up to 245 in workouts. Like it needs to be the same difficulty that it was last 2 years previous, to get those people to semifinals. Because if those workouts are watered down at all to accommodate for the extra people or the age groups, and like I don't have a problem with the age groups doing the same workouts, but that makes me think it's going to be less hard workouts, and that will not, what's the word I'm looking for? It won't cause any separation, right? And then it'll just be like the open, but a little bit harder. Like there's not going to be hard separating skills.
That's what I wanted
and I have
to
a problem
bring up
with
about
that.
Matt. Matt right here
Yeah.
is like, when he saw this, he's like, okay, that's neat. And then everybody on the space started dumping on it because it's like the changes themselves don't seem like a big idea or a big deal, but it's what they hint off about that is the problem. It's where we're going with these changes. No, I agree. They don't seem like big deals, but it's where we're going.
So
yeah, I think programming is going to take a hit. And
so I see what Matt's saying, right? Like, okay, top 25% can now get there, right? Like,
mhm.
we always talked about, all right, top 10%, and there's probably the next 5% are fighting to do everything they can to get to quarterfinals, right? They're going to work really hard. I just missed out. I want to be able to say I can qualify. Now you add to the top 25%. All those people that have been working hard in that area now are just going to coast through. Is it better to have more people that 20 to 30% range? 20% aren't guaranteed. The 25 to 30 are out. To have more people like it continue on their season. Like,
wait, restate that question. Yeah.
So you're going to have, like we always talked about last year, like 10% are in, 15% have a trying to get to that next stage, right? They're actively really trying the Open.
Yeah, I would say that.
Now you have 25% that are going to be making it to quarterfinals, and you have another 5% who are probably even more, right? Because it gets more bunched up in that percentile where 25 to say 35% are within a range or a shot of making it to quarterfinals.
I think you'll be amazed at how not fit you can be and be in the top 25%.
I don't think Brian or anybody talked about it on Savant's podcast, but I don't know what a 25 or 25th percentile athlete looks like. But I don't think if we popped them up on the board here that they would be, that you would look at them and be like, yeah, they deserve to go to quarterfinals. Like I don't think they were getting ring muscle ups in the open workout.
I think
not even close. I don't think they're finishing the cleans. I don't even think they get to the ring muscle ups.
I think it was the men got one
for
muscle
top
up.
10%.
For that was top 10.
That was 10.
Yeah,
I remember.
Yes.
No,
yes.
not the men. Not the men. The women was like one.
For top 10%.
I think it was top 10% for men.
You would never have a random stat that said top 25%. Like this is math that you have to do now.
Mike went backwards and looked at what the top 25% was, if I remember right.
Well, even still, it's like, that's bare minimum. That means you were able to do one muscle up. You're going to go to quarterfinals?
Right.
I'm sorry. It doesn't make any sense.
That's the concern I have when it comes to, I like the idea of people coming into it. The problem is we had 320,000 people sign up for the Open. So 80,000 people, 40,000 men, 40,000 women, roughly, could advance to quarterfinals. And you're going to take that and narrow it down on the individual side down to 40 per region. Like you've got to do it right.
I still don't have a problem with it as long as the programming is the same difficulty as years previous.
But Adrian says it's not going to stop people right off the bat. And
so it's just the Open reran
with maybe slightly harder. And what my thought and what I think they're going to do is those open style workouts where it's like gated, right? Everything's gated. Everything is like you can do a little bit of work, but then you're going to get
the fitter you are, you get to progress to the further thing. What's the first thing you said in that comment? In open style workouts,
right?
They're like that for a reason.
Yeah,
they're the Open.
Right.
There needs to be 30 cal row, 20 burpee box jump overs, 10 snatches, 185. Like that is your sprint workout. That's what needs to be there for people to separate. The quarterfinals is not the Open. Like the quarterfinals is a step up. Oh, you get to be with the big leagues now. The training wheels are off. And if you can't do it, then you can't do it. Now you got something to work on all year. If you can't handstand walk, that's all, you're done. That's what you got to get next year, right? It's not. It's a different beast, and it should be a different beast. I swear, if these clean and jerks end up being 225 and it's a 24-inch box, people like Brent Fikowski are not going to make semifinals because you make it more open-y. You make quarterfinals more open-like, and that's what it should not be.
My brain immediately goes to Peace Corps kind of thought. And it's like, you're going to have a lot more freaks are going to make the cut. Like people who are just good at one thing. Cause you did great on one workout in the Open. And then you did just barely up to par in the other two. And then you're going to get like some burpee workout in quarterfinals because the programming is going to go down. And then somebody's going to miss semifinals because the bar is now raised for semifinals. And it's like, it's just this weird cascade, all because this is a monetary move, and all because we want people to feel like they are allowed to go to the next part. But it's like, people don't want that. In the Open in 2013 and 14, like back when I first started, the cool thing was that you were able to compare yourself to Rich and them, knowing that they were trying their hardest in the Open. And that's not true anymore. Like, I immediately thought today, oh, every workout is now one and done for me. And like for the Open, and for a lot of people it is, but it's like, I definitely don't have to freak out anymore. And it's like, if I screw up, it's not really my best effort, but I'm going to be okay.
Right.
Right. And it's like, is that what you wanted the Open to be about? Like, everybody just comes together and works out for 3 weeks? No, it was about testing yourself. How fit are you? And really measuring yourself in the world. And now that metric means nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was a time where it was like, the person who wins the Open is probably the fittest person on earth. And now that's not like, I don't think that correlation is true anymore. It doesn't matter to me as much.
Adler won last year.
But yeah, I mean,
Saxon did the year before, right? But there is a little bit of money on the line. I think it was $10,000. So like, if you're in the hunt, like, I know Saxon was definitely trying to win 2 years ago. And if you're in that position, definitely. LDY 2742. I pray the quarters workout open with 225 pound snatches. Right? Like something like that, where they're not going to do it, right? Like the first workout of quarters, I guess they have to release all of them at the same time, right? So like, if you see it and you can't do 2 of the 5 workouts, do you pay for it and put a 0 down?
Probably not. But then, like, yeah, you don't pay for it, but then your pool is bigger. But here's what you were saying, like, okay, last year it was 10%, and then probably the next 15% are really training hard. And then, so if you lower that to 25%, is then down to like the 40th percentile really going to try to train hard? I don't think that that's true.
I think
that percentile is probably
your average gym goers.
Yes, I think it's like it only goes to maybe the 30th percentile.
Right? And the thing we're not talking about is also, of those 320,000 that signed up, how many actually submitted scores all 3 weeks last year?
I think a fair amount. I think it was like 270.
Well, I'd be okay with the 20.
Yeah, I think so. I don't. Yeah, it's not for sure. I think so.
I was like a third. It was like 3/4. I don't even think 3/4 of people submitted all of their scores.
So 250.
But yeah, I'd be more okay with it if you had to submit all your scores to be included in that 25%.
Right. I think that's also a piece of it. Like,
what you might not just not do a workout. That's a lot.
Well,
I mean that's a lot of spots.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is, like, is 10% or 25% even really the top 25%? Right? Because it includes all of these athletes who paid for it, and then they go on spring break and they skip a week and don't participate.
Sure.
Tristan Patrick, 100% will be outliers who impact the cut line for semifinals.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you get some of those freaks who can do a massive thruster or whatever big lift they have, and they get in between. Like, there'll be more of those types of athletes, more, burpee ninjas that get in the middle of it. So, like, and when you're only talking about top 40, that could be a problem.
This also applies. I wrote the note down 1 year phase. So, okay, we'll probably see an increased participation in the quarterfinals this year. And the Open's cool because it's like, the Open's still cool. It's Friday night lights. Everybody kind of gets together and they kind of get around and do the thing. But like, I don't think people realize how kind of not fun quarterfinals is if you're not like a serious competitor. Like, you have to set a bunch of shit up. There's a bunch of time involved. It's stressful. Your gym oftentimes aren't like super easy to work with on setting up. Like you have to work around class times. You have to work around. There's all kinds of factors involved, and no one cares that you're doing it. Okay. So people are going to go through 1 year of this where they're like, okay, this is really stressful and there's no community involved in it. And they're not going to do it the next year, even if they're in the top 25%, because they're like, oh, it's just not fun. It's hard workouts.
You think so, John?
1 year.
I mean, I don't know about 1 year, but what now? I
Well-
don't.
Well, what
Did
I'm
they say
saying is
Well,
you'll see a
Bosman
boost.
said it was going to be a more community event, right? Because more people are going to be there. You're going to have 5-6 people, and the others are just going to jump in because it looks like it's fun.
The workouts are not what they need to be if they look fun.
Right.
Like if you look at last year's quarterfinal workouts,
That
I
row
think
of
3 out of
GHC
5 of
sit-ups.
those, 3 out of 5 of those workouts, most people who do CrossFit, not everybody, but most, would be afraid of those workouts. They would not voluntarily, oh, I want to do that. That looks cool. Most of those workouts would be like, I can't do that. And
Well,
then
I
the
mean,
ones
yeah,
that they can do are freaking terrible.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing there's not one quarterfinal test that I'd sit there and go, okay, this looks like I want to do it. And last year we saw at quarterfinals, we saw crossovers, right? We saw V-ups. We saw new movements, which was a disaster. Do we think those new movements hitting quarterfinals are gone now with top 25% hitting it?
It's funny.
I feel like you opened the door to more cheating. Like a
I
lot of
think your
scores that aren't legit.
your limitations on programming for the Open go way down. Like you can kind of do whatever now because top 25% is not like you can screw up big time and still make it, right? And then quarterfinals, like I think you actually have to be more careful about how you program. So I think those things are definitely out. Like if you're going to employ something new, you better really know it's going to work.
What is the time period to complete the
What time
quarterfinal
period?
workouts?
So they extended it.
5
Last year it
days.
was 4 days. They're going to make it 5. What Adrian said was
I'm not a fan of that.
the feedback they received was 4 days for 5 workouts was too onerous on the affiliates for this select group of athletes to basically take up the entire gym for all 4 days. And so he thinks that giving them an extra day will alleviate that problem because they just come in once a day and do a workout.
That's just another day that gym's going to have to deal with the quarterfinals people. But
how many times do you repeat those if you're in the hunt?
I don't think you might repeat one.
They were repeating 2 or 3 sometimes in quarterfinals if you're on the cut line with 4 days.
If you're on the cut line, I guess. I mean, it's a little bit different if you're on the cut line, but I'm talking about for most people. Like I don't like that. I think a part of quarterfinals is like what
Doing multiple
differentiates a lot of
pieces in one
people
day.
is your ability to recover.
Like volume,
And
yeah.
that's what like semifinals is like that, and the games is like that more than anything. It's an evolution to the pyramid of fitness is being able to recover day after day or workout after workout. And that separates a lot of people. If you can do one workout and in 10 minutes, you can go again, right? And I mean, I'm exaggerating it, but like 5 hard quarterfinal workouts in 4 days, that you get that stimulus. And I think that stimulus needs to be there.
Yeah, because you're gonna go back. You're gonna go to semifinals and do 6 or 7 workouts over 3 days.
Mm-hmm. And then the games will be 13
right.
workouts in 4 days, and that's like that's how it should be. And now you're taking that away from quarterfinals too. You're basically just watering down quarterfinals so hard, and then you're gonna narrow it down even more than you have chosen to narrow it down. And like again, maybe it works out and the programming is great, and then like everything works out awesome. It's really hard to pass judgment until a year of it happens. But it just seems like it's not gonna happen like that.
And that's what I'm saying, John. Like, I don't care if it works this year. That means nothing to me. Next year's what matters because it's the flash in the pan. The longevity of this idea is terrible. And I think it ruins the spirit of things so much that you're actually walking backwards, even more than we've already walked for the past 10 years.
Tristan Patrick, quickly becoming one of my favorite watchers, subscribers,
Weird
viewers.
how that happens.
Yeah, it's weird. You throw some super chats in there and you become my favorite. So you give us another day plus 15%. Not helpful. I think it just stretches it out. Like you're just adding to it. And like we talk about quarterfinals and how difficult it is. Now, if the floor plans get easier, that's one thing. But the difficulty of that, and now you do have masters and teens. And if you are a competitive type gym with all three of those in there, like JR has a ton of them. Like it's one thing to go through the open where a lot of us, the 75% of us, it doesn't matter, right? Like who cares? Like just go have fun. If you do it to the perfect standards, like it's fine. We're not recording ourselves. We're not doing all that stuff. You throw in quarterfinals, you're adding cameras most likely to the mix on all of these. If you are serious, more people, like more camera, like all of it is just adding to the complexity of a gym owner at this point. It's,
I was thinking about so 2 years ago, we were in Alabama and being training think tank athletes, we drove over to Alpharetta. It's like a 2-hour drive. And we were going to do quarterfinals at TTT. And there was like 30 or 40 athletes there. And we saw what the quarterfinals workouts were. And I was like, it would be stupid for us because we're going to be here all day. It's going to be like being in a competition where you have to wait on heats. You have to do all this stuff. So we went back to Auburn and we only did one workout at Training Think Tank. That only makes that whole entire problem worse. I would doubt Training Think Tank runs like a coordinated athletes only quarterfinals thing this year. I think they'll probably abandon a lot of it. And it's like, yeah, like you said, like if you have a lot of athletes, you're screwed. Like you have to shut down your business to essentially run a competition that you're not making any money on. For what?
Yeah.
Community?
Because Training Think Tank Mayhem brought in outside judges, right?
Yes, they treated it really serious last year.
Right. So now you're doubling, tripling the number of people who are going through that.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Max is going to be like, all right, the people that matter are going to be over here.
We're going to open a secondary facility.
If you weren't the top 5%, you're going to be over here. Okay.
Right.
We're all going to treat the same setup, all that. But you people that are in the top 5%, you're going to be over here. I don't know who it is. I don't play favorites. I don't know names. Just top 5%.
Yeah, Travis has top 5. If he doesn't do well in the quarterfinals, then it doesn't matter. So
what do we make all those shirts?
Get out of his way. Let him do his quarterfinal workouts.
Yeah, if that's the one thing I care about today, that's that.
I looked this up. So these are some names that would not make it to semifinals. If I know we haven't talked about those fringe people like on the 40 line, right?
Let's see if you get them all.
Oh, you have them all?
I have them, so we'll see.
I only have the ones that I thought mattered. Okay, so if like bigger names.
I looked up the athletes who would not have made it to the games.
Okay, it'll probably
match. But it'll be the similar.
So
similar
Rebecca
list.
Biddison, and she was top 20 in the games, I believe. Right when she like 19th.
I don't remember if she was top. She was close to that.
21st.
I don't think she made the I don't think she made the cut. But either way,
but she
you make it. You're now we all know who she is. We know who she is.
Bethany Shadburn. I know y'all know her. Flores. I apologize. It says Shadburn thing. Bethany Flores was 15th at the games.
Fittison was 25th at the games.
25th. All right, 25th and 15th. Those are big deal names. right?
Mhm.
Hannah Black. I know she didn't make the game, so she was 7th in semifinals, or was right on the cusp of making the games. And
She
we-
was in it the whole time. We were talking about
and-
her the whole time.
and we know her as one of the strongest females in CrossFit now. Garrett Clark, we just saw him at Rogue. He was 16th in semifinals. I know these names aren't like super big, but if you're 16th in semifinals, you deserve to be at semifinals. And
Mhm.
he would not have made it. He was very competitive the entire time. I think he's 5 spots from not making it to the
Right.
games, right? Alex Vigneault, we
Yep.
should know his name. All right. And then the biggest one, I think, Tyler, can you guess it off the top of your head?
The jelly toast.
Yeah.
It's Yella Hosta. Wow. That was such a
Yeah.
good guess, Tyler. Yella Hosta.
I think you watched Savon.
Rookie sensation.
I watched Devon.
Oh,
Yeah.
you did.
He wouldn't have gotten
Yeah,
he wouldn't
true.
have gotten Vigneault though, because that was I think Mike missed that one.
I prepped
Yella
hardcore
Hosta.
for this, John.
What?
I said I prepped hardcore for this. I think I listened to
you did?
everybody talk
Okay.
about.
I haven't
about this,
listened
yeah.
to one person talk.
So
So-
now everybody shut up and listen to John talk.
But Yella Hosta would not have made the games.
And he wouldn't have been at
He wouldn't have
Rogue.
made semifinals. He won 3 events at semifinals.
Oh yeah.
And like 2 records, right? 2 world
Yeah.
records. And he wouldn't have made it under this current thing. And what I'm saying is, if Yella Hosta can't even make it in the quarterfinals last year, and then it's just going to get watered down, the workouts, he's not going to make it then either. You know what I mean? Like, no, hope he does. He should get fitter. He should, right?
but
the
he's
Yella
not built
Hosta-
for it.
No, he's not. But I mean, Brent Fikowski's probably going to make it. He'll find
Yeah.
a way. Like he
How-
should be able to find a way.
Do you
right?
think Brent like takes 20,000th place just to make a statement? Like literally just
Mm,
tanks
I
it.
wouldn't because he looks really good right now. But I get what you mean.
Like
ooh, that's
This
hard.
is not the
man.
year to
This
do
is-
that,
This is
but
his.
I-
This is what he makes money doing. You know what?
But yeah,
yeah, but it's just the Open, right? Like if you go through the Open, you're like, we talk about him, like, he doesn't care.
And he still.
and then he comes
still
to then he
makes
comes
it?
then he comes
Oh,
to
yeah.
quarterfinals and
Through
he
every
tears it up
workout.
and he's fine. He goes, makes it
Yeah.
all to the games.
I thought
But
you
the
were saying
Open, he just
opposite.
like, I'm
if
just
the
gonna.
quarterfinal workouts are easier, and then he just takes like a 5,000th on purpose to not.
No, I don't
make
think
the
he,
games.
no, he won't do that. No.
it's funny. I don't think I've done the Open, and I think I went back and calculated it. Like even in my worst years, like when I first started, like I've never been below 88th percentile or something like that. And it's like you really could, if you're a certain amount of fitness, just kind of walk through it and be like, I'm not going to stress out about the Open, and then get to quarterfinal. Like you're saving yourself 3 weeks of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And like for these high level athletes, it probably doesn't matter anyway. But like as a point, it's like like if you're Brent, like do you kind of just give the middle finger to HQ and be like, this is dumb, and then turn it back on when you hit quarterfinals?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I'm just gonna coast through it. I'm gonna get I'll do 2 muscle ups on 23.1 and move
Yeah.
on. Right? Like I'll be fine. Like,
Right.
And I don't think that stuff will happen. I really don't.
Mm.
But
It could.
the temptation is there, and
right.
it probably very well happen with a few people, but I don't think it'll happen like with the majority. But that leads to what Tyler was saying. It does take the testing yourself out of it a little bit, right? You're not going to fight for every single second. Because y'all know how the Open works. If you are 7 seconds faster on your redo, it's like
1,000
6,000 spots, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal, right? You're not going to care. I bet I bet we have the lowest amount of redos in all of the
Of all time.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you do bad or not. It really doesn't.
No, and if you are trying to get into that quarterfinal last 25th percentile, you probably have never redone a workout unless you're just neurotic.
You don't need
Right.
to do
Yeah.
the workout anyway.
What What about this thought? And I think I disagree with Allegra. Hiller is going to have a field day with these no rep videos in the Open and quarterfinals.
I mean, if he
Well-
wants to sift through that many videos, good luck to him. I think he's going to be. I don't think he wants to try.
I think it takes. I think this does the opposite of what they're doing. Like they won't look at any of the Open videos.
But
No,
well, so yeah, the Open videos they won't. Why would
maybe
you?
the top
like
10.
unless
They're
you're
paying
giving money
people.
out? Yeah, but I mean, you can watch top 10 videos all day long. But
then
like,
quarterfinals.
What this pisses me off about is quarterfinals. It's like, so we know their process. They've proven this is that what they do, they generally check anybody who's like top 10 and then or top probably 20, and then the overall leaderboard at the end, they'll check those, right? Cool.
Mhm.
There's people in 50th or 100th or even lower. I think during quarterfinals last year, Brian was like somebody in like 460th place has an effect on the top 10 or top
Well,
40 leaderboard or
look
whatever.
at what
it is. And
look
it's
what
like,
Hiller did. His avatar
oh
was
yeah,
better
it
than
was all
Ben
fake.
Smith on a couple of these, and
Yeah,
nobody knew.
Mhm.
nobody knew. And it's like that problem only gets worse now. And you've already proven that you don't have the manpower or the capital to really take care of this issue. So we've made the waters muddier. So the
Mhm.
programs are going to be worse, and the pool potentially can lie more.
Yep, I'm gonna affect the leaderboard. We all know my front squats aren't great. Speed rep them like a mug. Ain't nobody gonna check me.
Nobody's going to see you.
nobody
You're
goes-
fine.
The only
Except
video
you,
people
John.
gonna
People
look
will
at
go
is the
check you.
max thruster, and you know what? That's all right. So
I'll remind Hiller every day, hey, just go pull John's
listen,
videos
my
so that
movement
we can run.
quality is perfection. I was just trying to go too fast.
Just trying to go too
okay?
fast. Too fast. Let's see.
People telling me I don't
I'll give
squat
you
to
the-
depth, and I'm like, that wasn't even the thing he was talking about. Like my
No.
depth
Right.
is beautiful on all of this.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Your squat started good, and then I knew what you were doing. You were going faster, and when you go faster, like you're like, I'm definitely there, and you're just not.
It's
I
you go
got
too
it.
fast in that stuff, it's just gonna happen.
Yeah,
That's
It just
the problem if they're going to make the quarterfinals an extension of the Open, right? Where it is gated, where it is working up to heavier weights. Like if instead of the front squat starting heavy then going lighter with more reps, they'll start lighter and go more heavy. And so all these top athletes are going to be faced with 95-pound front squats, 135 pounds front squats, which are
Right.
easy for them.
And in the Open, that's
Sure.
fine. It's the quarterfinals that those should not be there.
Right.
Yeah, and it's like it's okay if like one of those workouts shows up. It's like there's always a snatch workout that's kind of gated or something like that in quarterfinals. But it's like, I don't know, like I don't want that to be 3 of the 5 workouts. Like I want to just have straight up AMRAPs and stuff like that.
Right. Where you're actually trying to find, in this case now, the top 40 men and women
Yeah,
in
my max
each
capacity.
region, which is also a huge change. So we talked about the super semifinals had 60. Now we're cutting down to 40. But the small semifinals go from 30 to 40.
This is what
Yeah.
kills me
And this
is
go ahead,
they
Tyler.
say this is because of simplicity. We want to make it more simple.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, because somebody's in Europe and being like, oh, damn, I thought I was in West, or somebody's in Asia and it's like, shit, I thought I was in North.
Oh,
America
I thought I
East.
could be the top
That
60.
shit doesn't happen.
I think this
Yeah.
is all just a ploy to make me not make semifinals. It's okay.
It was, John.
Like, so I think I personally, on my opinion on that, like, I don't think it makes sense either. But it really doesn't hurt a lot of people unless the quarterfinal workouts are all like opening. Then I do think it's a problem for like people like Fikowski. I really do if they're opening. You know what I mean?
So here's my thing. Like, this goes to the broad like idea of what CrossFit is and what we want to do as a sport and create this ecosystem. Like last year I started thinking a lot about like in 2012, like a bunch of people went to to regionals, right? There were like 17 regionals, and like there were 6 people on a team, and then there were 60 athletes in individuals. And it's like, okay, that was a little excessive. But what it did was it created a great community of people who wanted to train to be athletes. And that raised the bar up in the affiliates, because you had people who were not even as good as me, who like does okay in quarterfinals. They were like, I'm going to go team. They were all training hard. Right.
And your score could help. That's that one time, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're great at burpees. You're John Young strong. Like, I may not be there yet, but my score might help my affiliate get to regionals.
Right. And then they cut the individual field down, and then they cut some regionals out, and then they cut the teams from 6 to 4, and then they cut that field down too, and then they cut the field down again, and then the bar, what I call the illusion of eliteness, the bar for that kept getting higher and higher and higher. And once again, it's gotten higher again. And what you're doing is you're killing out this middle ground of athletes like me who used to train full time because they wanted to be on a team. And that's the people who watch and pay for the sport. And you're cutting them out.
Who ingest
that's all you've done. Content. And then instead, what you've done is you've said, okay, everyone can play. I'm really, really happy that the masters and the adaptive divisions are getting their due, but we care about the elite athletes, period. And the thing that pays for elite athletes is people training and trying to be other elite athletes. And what we've done is just say, hey, you can participate. You've taken 25% of the open. It's, hey, you can participate in quarterfinals. And it's like, people don't want that. They want to feel elite, and you're not making them feel elite. You're lowering the bar in the places you shouldn't lower the bar, and you're raising the bar in the places you shouldn't raise the bar. This thing pisses me off that they did this. And no, John, you're right. 40 athletes versus the 60. We weren't really watching that last heat anyway. But like, man, you're just cutting the best out again. For what? To save $1. That's what it was all about.
I have a slightly different opinion than you on this.
Go ahead.
It doesn't really make me mad. My counter to what you said is that, so like, let's say I killed myself and I'm 59th, right? And like, okay. I got really lucky with the quarterfinal workouts. There was a max clean in there and whatever, right? And I would have made it and I didn't make it. Well, I would have went to semifinals and been around last place, right?
Maybe.
Right. Well, okay, like best case scenario, 40th place. But next
you could be the next Yellow Host Day.
Yeah. Okay. Stop, guys. No, I'm not. It's not going to happen. But next year, I'm going to be that much fitter another year, and then I would have made the top 40 the next year. You know what I'm saying? So like, it doesn't change anything for fringe athletes. Like, I know I got like 6 DMs from people I've met like at competitions that are around my level or like, you know, fitter in other areas, weaker but fitter, and really pissed off. And my answer to that is like, if you truly want to make the games one year, like that's your goal. Your goal is to ultimately make the games in your lifetime. That's what you're striving to do, right? You want to be one of the fittest men in the world. It doesn't matter when you make semifinals, right? Because you were going to have to be that good anyway at some point. It's just going to take an extra year for you to make the semifinals. And then you're going to be that much, like maybe you make semifinals and the first year you make semifinals, you made the games because it took that much of shoring up all the stuff that you were bad at to get to semifinals. And then you have your home run ability on whatever events, right? So like, that's kind of how I'm looking at the 40 people. I do think you're going to miss out on athletes. I do think there's going to be athletes that would have made the games or made a difference. Like I remember when Zach Watts made the games. Y'all remember that guy, Zach Watts?
Yeah.
Like he won the
outside shot.
Got pretty lucky with the semifinal events, but he made it. He made the games. Was top 5 at the MAC, I think. He would not have made it. He wouldn't have made the semifinals that year if it was how it is. Right? So like there will be people that we miss out on that would have made a difference at the games. But all the people that are upset, that are like on the fringe, and like I'd put myself in that category, but like way low in that category. Like I'm not close to semifinals currently, but I want to be, right? That you're gonna have to get that fit anyway. So it's just like it's
Right.
not, you just
And-
keep your head to the grind,
But-
and like maybe you don't make semifinals this year. You're gonna make it the year after that. It's just a harder barrier of entry. But if your true mission was to make the games, you were gonna have to be that fit anyway. You know what I mean?
But you're also looking at it from North America, going from 60 to 40.
I am. No, if
What-
you don't live
what-
in North
what
America,
about-
if you don't
what
live in North
about
America, you made
Asia?
out. You're
What about
great.
Asia, the smaller regions,
It's basically
going from 30 to
quarterfinals for them.
40? Like,
We're gonna see
It's-
these people in
it's tough.
So
semifinals
glad
that Tyler Watkins would beat straight up. There's gonna be people in the Asia semifinals that can't do a
Well,
ring muscle up. That's
I
what
was
we're
on a
gonna
team-
see.
yes.
I was on a team with a girl at TFX, and she's really, really fit. I don't want to discount her at all. And she was in Russia. She's from Russia, and she was like, "Yeah, I made the Asian or Asian semifinals." I was like, "Did you go?" And she goes, "No, I would have looked dumb." She was like, "I wouldn't have qualified for any other semifinal." She was like, "So why would I go embarrass myself?" And so I appreciated that she was just that frank about it. But yeah, there's definitely there's a big difference between fitness here and fitness there.
Right. Like, if you watched
Well,
the
the-
top 30
Go
women
ahead.
try to do Linda last year in Asia, only a handful were actually getting through that. Like, it was
Right.
bad. And now you're going to add 10 more for the sake of simplicity.
Simplicity.
No, for the sake of money, Brian. I kind of wish they would say
No,
that.
no, John. It's
Not
simplicity.
semifinals. Not semifinals.
You got to pay for that too.
Yeah, but
Like-
they took money out of their own hand for semifinals.
I mean, Adrian said it was trying to make it like more uniform, and and this is where he lost me. Like, the athletes don't have to be there as long. Well, they only had 3 days, whether
They were
you're
gonna be there
teams
3 days
Thursday through
anyway.
Saturday or Friday through Sunday for individuals. Like, that's where I knew this was not the reason why
Bogus.
they did it.
Right. We know the reason why they did it. It's been said in the comments several times. This is all a monetary thing.
Right.
But the fact that they won't say it out loud is the aggravating part.
Yeah, they don't
And
have to
it's like,
broadcast
okay.
an extra day. Like, there's a lot of, they don't have to rent the venue for an extra day. Like, it's
There's less people that have to work. The other thing was like they were like, "Oh, this is about simplicity." I was like, "Okay, you guys want to talk about how we seed athletes to get to the semifinals?
well,
Are we going to talk
that's-
about worldwide rankings and how
that's
simple that is?"
That's my next question: is do we think worldwide rankings are going to be back for 2024?
I could care less.
Nope,
Do away
but-
with it. It's so stupid.
But is that going to be the reason, like how they divvy up the qualifying spots? And let's just talk about individuals itself. Like, is that still the method where 40
It has
40
to
from
be.
North America East show up and they get 12 men to go through?
I mean, I agree with Tyler. I think it has to be. But it's not off of participation, right? It's about how many you have in the worldwide ranking.
It's the DeHunt method
Right,
of
but
the
how
top
many you
100.
have in 100, right?
Top 100.
Okay.
And that's pretty much set.
If it was participation, what would the spots be?
I don't
Oh,
know right now. That's
That's
number of
something-
affiliates, right?
Yeah,
North
that's
America
something
gets
I would like
39
to see.
spots.
No, seriously. If it's participation,
I mean,
I would say
well,
participation.
that's
in
what 21
quarterfinals.
was based off of, right? It was the number of affiliates, and that's what
Yeah.
they tried to mimic with DeHunt, where it wasn't going to rock the boat too much. So it'd be about the same breakdown as it is now.
Okay, well then I don't care. It's fine.
Well, what about teams 38 down to 30? Where do those come out of?
They don't do the DeHunt method with that.
No,
Nope.
I don't think you can.
How do you qualify those
And
guys?
we have to give Asia, like, Asia's not losing their spot.
Right.
Africa's not losing their spot, even though their teams never make it to the freaking games.
Let's go take a look at the bottom 8 of teams.
This is it for
You
the
got
games.
you have Africa. There's one in the US,
Oh gosh, Brian,
South
you didn't have to
America,
do them dirty
England,
like this.
South America, Asia, and then the guy that busted his face in the United States. There's only one in one in the North America and one in England out of the 8 that you'd be cutting. But you can't cut Africa. Are you going to cut one from Asia? How many from Australia? Like, they're going to end up cutting the spots at the games to those who are top 30 teams. I don't get it.
No,
It was
yeah,
a really
I
weird
agree.
move. Like that, like 8 spots.
So you're gonna cut
It was-
8 American teams essentially,
American and in Europe, yeah,
and European. So those other countries can still be there.
right.
And once again, like, hate to sound like broken record, but the bar raised for eliteness once again, because now there's less money because less athletes are going to the games on teams, so less room for sponsorships.
Yeah,
The cycle continues.
I don't know. And then we don't have dates. We don't have locations for adaptive, teens, and masters. And according to Adrian, it's not been finalized yet. So,
Well, yeah, that's for age groups and an adaptive, right?
right.
We know that it's finalized. We signed contracts for the big 5, right?
The big 5.
East, West, Europe. Sorry, the big 4: East, West, Europe, and
Australia.
We have contracts
we don't
'cause we run those.
No, we don't. Not Torian. Just the 3.
Oh, so the big 3 we have contracts for, so we know that those are safe.
And they're still working through, like, the RFP for the semifinals was 3 weeks. And since the semifinals for age groups and adaptives, I think, is May 8th through 13th. That was like the first weekend that semifinals could possibly be. So I think it's going to be the exact same 3 weekends as it was last year, with the last one being the first weekend of June.
Sure.
But we don't have locations for all of the, numerous athletes who are now going to be able to go to the games and masters and teens. They have no idea when and where. Right? Like,
Right.
I feel like we should know that by this point.
Same. But I mean, like, if you have one, the only thing I was going to give them break on that is, like, if you have one straggler, you don't want to push it all and then, like, be like, hey, we're not certain on this one and have to retort it, or do you really care? It's like, hey, we're not sure about this one. Hold on. I don't know.
I just think they need to have it ahead of time.
Yeah.
Like, push it out there. Here is the season, not this piecemeal. Like, we know most of it. I mean, it's like, goes what Pedro said. Well, exciting news.
Nothing.
Top 25% go.
Yeah.
Unless
Well,
unless your age groups are adaptive, you're excited. Everything than that,
let's talk about them for a minute, because we've been like down. I mean, I feel like the Masters have finally gotten notoriety that they've been kind of craving. Like, Masters never get attention ever.
Agreed.
And they are so BA. Like if you actually watch them, they do some pretty legit
and those 16,
stuff.
17-year-old teenagers, both groups, but especially the 16, 17-year-olds. I mean, they're the future of the sport too.
I think it's great. They definitely deserved it. My qualms are CrossFit's not running it anymore, right? Like, that's up to Legends and Pit Teen or whoever is doing the teen stuff.
Yep.
So I don't know, like, what I'm more concerned with, I'm glad that the more higher level age groups are going to get to compete, but does it feed back into the system at all? Does it make more people want to do CrossFit or more interested in watching CrossFit?
Right.
And I just don't think it does. Like, that's the only thing that matters to me. Like, as a competitor, I would be happy I get to go compete if I'm an elite level, but I don't really care about that. All I care about is feeding back into the sport itself. And I don't see this doing that. Do you?
It's always the hard part, especially when I write articles for masters, for teens, and particularly, and even adaptives. I know Jeanette's done a lot with that.
Yeah, for the adaptives. Yeah.
And you do see some comments on social media, but like the number of page views, not even close compared to if I have an article about Danielle Brandon or Pat Vellner or anybody like that. Like, that gets the attention.
Sure.
And so it's always tough. Like, you want to put the time into it because they deserve that kind of spotlight, but then you put all that work into it for what?
No
And
return.
you've got to see, if they're going to live stream it and actually show it, they have to have the turnout on the live stream and in attendance this year,
right,
to get that going. Otherwise, it's like the Legends is this year. It's a great competition, but go look at the live stream.
So if we're generous, the teens will create a feeder league into the individuals, right? That's what our hopes are. Like, basketball and baseball and football, those are also popular because essentially you have a decade of feeder leagues into the pros, right?
Right.
And so you have a decade of being instilled in this thing, right? So that's a thing that could happen. But as of right now, we keep cutting more and more athletes who are going to be pros. So you're going to work this hard to get what? To not have a spot.
Well, that's what we talked about a couple months ago was, and I brought it up, like, should there be another division for the athletes that are, right? Like above 17 who are going to take 3 or 4 years to get there.
Right. A mature league.
Because it's going to be really tough. And like, I think John was like, just suck it up, work hard, and you'll get there eventually. Right. But if it's
not
super hard,
that John Young spirit, John.
Right. So I see what you're saying. Like, they're going to be showcased and then they disappear for 3 years until they get to where they need to be.
Right. Or what I really think is really probably more going to happen is that they just don't play anymore. And that's the thing for me, John, what you were saying is like, hey, just suck it up. It's like, yeah, but they could have made it to regionals that 1 year and then they would have had like a 5-year long career. But instead they didn't make it. And they're just like, you know what? I'm just going to kind of wrap it up. And there's so much more that's going to happen, I think. And that's the base that pays.
You think that mentality would have had a 5-year run?
I don't care about the mentality. I care about people watching the sport.
I know what you just said.
I think there are quite a few athletes who were good as teenagers and then they make it to the 18-year-old and it's like, oh, like Palladino, Angelo, like he kind of took a back seat until he kind of came back. You see those
versus like what I'm saying is, if you were a teen and you're like, okay, you come into semifinals and you actually you just barely make semifinals and you compete at semifinals, that's enough, I think, gas on the fire to keep you going. Versus like, I didn't even freaking make semifinals. Like, what?
That's what happened to Alexis Raptis. Like, she made it to regionals back in 2017, I think it was. And so that kind of was like, yeah, I can compete here. And then she kind of like, took a little bit to get back to it, but she saw that she had that capability. If she had not qualified, who knows if a couple bad years would have just tanked her whole career. So, Andrew Reyes, Pitt has a college division now for athletes that aren't quite ready for the games yet. I just don't know what that happens. Like, if they're going to focus all their time on the games, like there's not a division for the games. So Does Pitt have a second, or this is all they have? So we just don't know. They don't have all that bed set. All right. Anything else before we move on to drug testing? John?
Do we want to talk about Masters at all?
I mean,
what do you want to say about it?
covered?
I feel like we just keep glossing over it. Like this is the first time they're ever going to have a competition, a real one. Like, and I think like once they make it to the games, I hate that they're going to do the same test as the elite individuals, because I do think that's going to affect the programming
In quarterfinals?
Yes. In the Open, I do think it should be the same. But I mean, you can ask Bill Grundler, like we can talk to him and ask him, like if he thinks the quarterfinals test should be Masters test from last year, and I bet you he would say it should be twisted to this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but I hate that.
But couldn't they?
I love
they
that.
could lower the weights. But I mean, 35 to 39, they're going to keep it the same.
That's
probably
my
40
point,
to
Brian.
44.
They could lower the weights. No, they're not.
But then they
said
don't.
the
But
workouts
they
should be
have
the same.
Yeah. At least for the younger ones, and 16 to 17. I also went to.
You want to tell a 15-year-old to snatch 275?
No, the 14, 15-year-olds aren't going to be the same weight. It'll be like the Open. They'll modify that.
Okay.
Come on, John. The 65-year-olds aren't going to be doing handstand walks.
Those are different workouts then. I'm taking this as literal. They said they're going to do the same workouts.
Up to 55, I think is what they said.
That's what it's done in the past.
Yeah.
I think there's an argument you could go down to the 44, but yes, the ones that somebody could potentially make the elite individuals, I think those will be the same. Because you're in both. You're registered for both.
Right. All right, we can move down. Move on to drug testing. I'm happy for the Masters people, is all I'm saying, because I do think they're.
I'm not.
I think they're going to get more of a real games and not like a backdrop. We don't care.
Yeah,
you know even the programming at the games, I think, will be more detailed. Right.
I just hope that they get the attention and the fans viewership that they deserve.
Well, they better.
That's
They're
the big
still in all the
question.
individual spots. Just kidding, old people.
So earlier this past weekend, CrossFit announced that they conducted some out of competition drug tests. Their announcement made it sound like they had done a lot. And so when you go back and look through it, back in May, I did an article when they announced the first 8 that they had drug tested, the first 5 months of the year. They've added 5 to that as of November 6th.
They got one guy, one a month.
And Alex Kazan, Jeff Adler, Brent Fikowski, Pat Vellner, and Dallin Pepper were the 5.
All popped.
And they were all negative.
In a bad way.
Yeah. I think I know the answer, but is that enough for the sport?
Do we know how much a drug test costs?
A lot. It's like,
why? I feel like they'd find a way to optimize
how many times it has to trade hands, and then it's expertise of those who are running the tests.
I'd get drug tested for school though. Like I feel like if
I think the problem is out of competition. You're sending somebody to a location, you're transporting that, and then you're doing the drug test. Like at least in competition, they're all there, right? It's the out of competition, I think, is extremely more expensive just from the collection standpoint. But let's say it's just $2,000 a time from travel and then the drug test itself. It starts to add up pretty quickly.
I think it's like $3,000 minimum a pop. But I mean, if you're doing them all on site there and administering all at the games, like I think you could probably get a discount, especially with the quantity.
Right.
But I think it's like 3 is where it starts if you're going to do a quality test. This is not just a P test. It's like blood tests, all kinds of other stuff.
So yeah, like my first thing is, why are we testing these 5? Like Alex Kazan got tested right after she posted the 270-pound bench press.
Reasonable.
But they're also being tested at semifinals. They were just tested at the games. Like, are these the 5 we should be targeting?
I don't have a problem with the 5 they did. I just think they should do more. I think the fittest man in the world should be tested like every month. Like if we're able to. If we're able to. Like Matt Fraser should have got tested twice a month, every month for his 5-year reign. Same for Rich.
Well,
And I
that's the
know they
question.
tested him a lot. But I'm saying you know what I mean? Like you have to be sure, I feel that the fittest man in the world is legit. And I feel like there are ways to make sure of that. If you knock on their door at any random given time and they don't know you're coming, and then you have to drug test once a month.
Well, did you guys catch the weekend review with Dave?
Yes.
No,
Um,
I don't listen to
You don't
anybody.
watch any of that stuff, do you?
Mm-mm.
So
John, do you even like CrossFit?
I mean, our text thread tells me everything I need to know, right? I feel.
well,
That's all-
Pedro
that's all
hours of
collusion.
things the way you
Pedro
guys
was
do.
featured as the first question where he asked Dave about the number of drug tests, and I think kind of our chat was focused around UFC. But I went to the USADA list and looked at the number of times that athletes have been tested in 2023. They've tested 292 athletes and collected 538 samples. And there's some athletes like
That's
Abby
USADA
Raymond
as a whole.
just for weightlifting. Yeah,
That's just for
USADA
weightlifting. Okay,
just
okay.
weightlifting. Like Abby Raymond has been tested 5 times alone.
Abby Raymond's
year.
been doing work.
Amanda Robles 9 times. Basically in 10 months, she's been tested almost every month. Like Ocasio's 8. I mean, Maddie Rogers for years was tested that time, maybe double digits. I mean, it is, I don't even know some of these.
Is this just American people?
This is just USADA, yeah.
Okay.
So the list for athletes for us, those are off-season tests, or is it tests that were during post or last season?
This reporting is out of competition. So they were not
Okay.
at semifinals. They were not at the games. So they went to their house. They went to wherever they were and knocked on the door and scheduled it. And like, if you remember, like the Masters athlete earlier this year received the suspension because she did not actually take the test. She didn't answer the calls and emails to schedule a time. So you have to, be aware you see an email or get a phone call, you have to answer it and schedule something within 48 hours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the 5 that they picked. I think if you do something crazy on the internet and they're like, "Hey, we saw that bench press," like, I think it's fine.
My question is, so I have a problem with it because it's like it's all top level athletes, right? And you should do, like John said, like I don't disagree. These athletes should all be tested. I think it is weird that only Alex has been tested, only female.
This summer, yeah.
Yeah, this summer. But then my question becomes like, you should be testing up and coming athletes. Like we have a pretty good track record that Vellner's not doing dope, right? And so it's like,
yeah, does he
I'm
start
more worried
after
I think
years?
you'd catch a lot more people if you tested like
Up and
40
comers?
through 100.
yeah. So like Yella
Because that's
or
the
anybody,
people taking stuff is the people 40 through 100.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, you should always test. You should regularly test those who like might look like they're doing steroids. Sorry, Pat, you don't. But then it's I want to test up and comers.
Tested.
Like, if you start looking,
like Ricky should be tested. Like
He
all
was-
the
He should be
time.
tested. Like
he
yeah,
was
you've
tested in
broken
the
rules.
winter/spring, so he was
Yeah,
one of
no,
the first
I-
8.
yeah, they're doing fine with Ricky. But I mean, the way Ricky looks, like he's more ripped out than everybody. If you saw him at Rogue, I don't know how it looks on TV, but like in person, he is noticeably more ripped out than everybody.
Jake Douglas, and
yeah,
sorry,
like
Jake, I
Yeah.
like
if
you,
you just
you
see
guys
people,
look
yeah,
the part.
then you can get a random drug. I agree. I think Jeff should always be tested. I think if you do something freaky on Instagram, you should be tested. And then random draw of 10 people, 40 through 100. Right?
Well, I think
Sure,
it should be random, and,
And then
and
I
then
think that
also
would be
look at those who have had massive improvements year over year. Right? Like, oh,
Yes,
you went
yeah.
from in the quarterfinals 250th, and then you're now 80th. Like,
Guys, when I get drug tested, I'm gonna be so happy. I might cry.
I made it.
I'm gonna be like, y'all think I'm good. I'm gonna be so happy. I'm gonna post it all over the place. That
just a
might be
quick
my new profile picture. Me with my
Just a quick break because there's some money here. LDY 2742, he deserves it. Kevin Keister asked to compete with the younger age group because the weights were too light for his master's division. He wants heavier weights.
Good dude.
So see, John, he wants the heavy weights.
Does he
Bring on the
want-
275
Does he
barbell.
want strict deficit handstand push-ups? He probably
100%.
does. Kevin
Probably.
Keister
He's got that. He's got
But-
that John Young mentality in him.
There you go. Yeah.
My question is, I think the real question is why don't we have more resources to test athletes, right?
Maybe the quarterfinals. Maybe everybody signs up to top 25% quarterfinals. It now covers more drug tests.
I think what we just said though would be enough. I think if you like the podium at the games should get tested like once every 2 months, right? The fittest person maybe once a month. And then anybody post something crazy on Instagram, like Alex Kazan's bench press, and then like just anytime that happens.
Then nobody's going to start posting anything.
Yeah,
Well, Alex Kazan was clean, right? You post that bench press, you be proud of it.
yeah.
right?
If you were clean, but if you're not, like, there's a definite.
Then you don't
and
get
that's
to
the thing,
post
like,
stuff. Why do
to
people
me-
do drugs so they could do crazy things, Tyler? Like then
'cause
they're
they can
not
go
going
to
to
the games
post
and get a
things.
bunch of money. What are you talking about, dude?
And then they'll get drug tested.
Our drug testing protocol right now is such a joke, even at the
No,
pro level.
but what I'm saying is, if this is like the minimum that I think they could get to. Is if somebody did something crazy and then you drug test that person randomly, you did the podium, the fittest person once every, and then random 10 people, 40 through 100, and then anybody that looks like they're on stuff.
Right, John, but
Bam.
you need to test repeatedly. Do you know how fast all these compounds cycle out of your body? Like a lot of them, if you're smart, you get the ones that cycle out fast. Because if you get a call from USADA, it's
No,
like,
no,
shit,
no.
I've got
You
to
don't
drink a
call
bunch
them,
of water and
just
flush this
random.
out. But if you're testing them once a year, it doesn't matter. It
But
doesn't matter.
you're only testing 40 through 100 once a year, right? You're testing the higher up athletes more than once a year because you need those people to be clean, right? You almost like those people need to be clean, right? 40 through 100 they don't know they're getting drug tested. Like that's going to be really random. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Yeah.
And then if they get lucky and they're cycled off, like then they get through.
And,
Can't be
and they did more testing last year of that 40 to 100 type of range. I don't know why they chose them. I don't know. I mean, they do have an anonymous tip line.
Sure.
I don't know if that was used, but there were some odd names. You're like, why did you pick that person?
Yeah.
Did somebody just have a
Hey.
vendetta against them and be like, I don't like them. I'm going to go send a drug test like to their door.
Granted, it's not always steroids. I mean, like Pat does some crazy things, right? Like Enduraball is conditioning. It
yeah.
makes your lungs great. It's not necessarily gonna rip you out like crazy.
Yeah, no.
You know,
But I don't know. To me,
I mean, as much as we've seen,
I don't even
testosterone
think-
would just make you recover faster, not necessarily gonna make you ripped out.
if we're testing at the level we are, we really shouldn't even test. Like, to me, this is a joke. Like, what are we even doing? That's my feelings towards it.
that and South America has definitely had its history.
I
of
think you should
failing
America.
in competition tests, and then you don't see any occurring down in South
I think there
America.
should be harsher
Yeah.
punishments, but like if the 4-year ban is a harsh one, I think that's fine. I think it's a harsh enough punishment. I think that's fine. In my opinion, like I feel like Ricky did his time and he came back. He's a new person. He's clean. I'm team Ricky, right? If he wins, it's great redemption story. But he did his time. Like that's kind of like how I feel. I think 4 years is a lot for if you're an elite individual. But if you have the top 6 of 7 teams test positive in your region, then you're just not allowed to go to the games. Like South America is banned for 2 years from doing the CrossFit Games because of the rampant failed drug test. Same with Africa. And North America gets any bonus that these guys get banned from. And like when they come back, they get their spot. They're always going to be in, right? They always have their spot. And it's based on the Hunt method. We can do it all that. But if you have enough drug tests and you can put the number on whatever number, if you have 7 failed drug tests from your continent, you're banned for 2 years. The whole
Entire
continent.
country.
The whole continent.
Whole
Yeah.
continent.
No, South
That's what
America
happened to Antarctica.
is not
They didn't get a
allowed
shot.
to go to the games. No teams, no individuals, no nothing. That saves money because you don't need to even run a semifinal for them, right? Like it saves money. That saves
I don't
money.
know, John. That's
Scorched earth.
That is-
John's got a scorched earth mentality on
What?
this
Quit
one.
freaking doing drugs. It's not that hard. Either allow them to do drugs
It's so
and
hard,
say,
dude. I can't stop doing drugs.
and say these countries, I'm still a fan of allowing them. Like you
I thought you were
allow,
Yes,
gonna
I
say
know,
of
I
drugs.
know.
yeah, I'm still a fan of that. Like if you allow Asia, Africa, and South America, hey, these countries, they get no drug testing for them.
until they podium.
As soon as somebody hits like top 5, you can put the ranking or whatever. As soon as Guillermo hits top 5, you can't do drugs anymore, right? Africa and Asia, I don't think they'll ever make it. Like now that Roman's American, Asia will never. Like you tell me the person.
That's the problem. He gets the pass because he integrated.
But it's almost like a given that they're gonna have somebody. Africa and Asia and South America are gonna have people that pop. It's a given.
John, you're so racist. God, you're
It's a
so
given.
racist.
It's not a. It's not. I'm not racist.
I'm just
They've been
kidding.
popping.
Not this
Have
year.
they not?
This year is quiet. Last year
Didn't
was
Jason
nuts.
Smith pop?
I was waiting this year. I was
Africa's
like,
chosen son, the only guy
He-
in Africa that can do
I
anything.
will say I did talk to him 2 weeks ago. He
Yeah.
still had 0 word from CrossFit on his appeal.
What?
It has
Well-
not been announced. He does not know where it stands.
I'm
Their
sorry.
small team got
your
smaller.
country,
Maybe they
your
got rid of-
country, your continent makes me not believe anything that you have to say, and that's your continent's
I'm
fault.
not, I'm not saying
know,
whether
dude.
I believe him or not. I'm saying that CrossFit has still not addressed it yet.
Right. And
And
my
see,
thing
if they
is-
were allowed, it wouldn't be a problem, and he could go to the games. And it's okay. It's okay. Like it should be okay. It should be looked down upon. I feel like we need to not look down on it. You know what I'm saying?
on drug use.
And yeah, no, for those continents,
Right.
like they need all the help they can get.
Only for them, yes.
Do they not need
That's a
help?
good point. That's a good point. If
Their
I'm- if
teams would
I'm-
be more
if I'm making
competitive.
semifinals, if I'm making semifinals in your region, you need to be on drugs.
Like I wouldn't have a problem with their teams making it if that was the case. And like we just know that it's okay. And then
They're
the
on
second
drugs. It's fine.
the second they get top 5, it's then they're not allowed to anymore. And then they're going to get tested and they're going to get banned a whole bunch. And you know what I mean? It's going to be like how it is now, and they're just trash. I don't
Should
see
we
a problem in
acknowledge-
it. You tell me where the problem is.
Should we acknowledge that people haven't been paid yet? When do people normally get paid? It's later than a lot of people
It's
think.
usually sometime in October.
For the games?
Okay,
Yes.
so we're late. The
It is late.
baby was due a month ago.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a legitimate worry.
What,
meant
that
to
Noble's
text you
Well-
not
about
going
this
to pay?
earlier. That the games aren't going to or
Night
haven't
Noble.
paid yet.
I don't know. So they as of last week, they had not paid athlete jerseys. I did get a comment from Noble that they were in the process of it. It sounds like those have started to be paid. I had reached out to
Jerseys,
for the jersey sales.
but not winnings.
I had reached out to CrossFit for a comment on the payouts. I have not gotten it.
It's with
They've
Jason
also
Smith's
been dealing
rebuttal.
they've been doing a lot with today's announcement. So I think that's at least
Right.
what I'm being kind of told is they were focused on that.
Yeah.
I'm not willing to throw Noble under the bus yet for it.
But you got your hands on their coat.
Because I think CrossFit has some involvement in it too. So
Yeah.
like Noble did not print the jerseys right away because they didn't get the go ahead from CrossFit because all the drug testing was done. Right. So they didn't want to start making all the jerseys for like, say, Jason Smith and sell them. And then he goes and pops and doesn't make it to the CrossFit Games. So they were waiting on that. The problem is they couldn't actually get the jerseys to us in time for the games. And they're coming in super late. So if CrossFit's not giving them the go ahead, Noble's kind of hamstrung in that standpoint. Now the messaging is really, really bad in that from all of that. But I mean, and again, it could be Noble doesn't have the money. It could be that CrossFit's not told them. I have no idea. But the problem is it's late. Like they just got semifinal payments a month ago.
What happens? What happens if they can't pay?
It's a bad day.
Have y'all not considered that a possibility?
Well,
they're going bankrupt, are they not?
I have no idea.
No one, it's the slowest bankruptcy I've ever seen.
I don't know if they're going bankrupt.
I want to know who the wire. I want to know who the wire comes from. So is it HQ that pays the athletes, or is it Noble that sends the wire? Like, I want to know what account that money leaves.
I don't know.
Because that'll tell me what I need to know. And I can't see CrossFit. Like, I can't see CrossFit being like, no, you need to wire us the money so that we have it in a reserve account so that we can wire it out whenever we're ready. Like, that needs to be in an escrow account ahead of time. Why would you wait? Right.
I will say this about Noble. So I went back a year ago. Registration for the 2023 Noble CrossFit Games Open is now live. This just says the 2024 CrossFit Games season.
Oh yeah,
there's no Noble.
It's going to be tier.
I know that their contract is over after this year, but they're not keeping their name in there beyond anything.
It's going to be the 2024 tier CrossFit Games.
John, let's play with your game.
I've also heard GoRuck in the mix.
Is GoRuck like that big of a company that they can do that?
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to grow. I don't know.
Okay, John. So let's say you're right.
Okay.
They're filing for bankruptcy.
Noble.
Yeah. Let's imagine that's true. If that's true, they don't have to pay a bulk of their liabilities. They take the assets, they liquidate the assets, and then they pay off their liabilities with those. I don't think Noble has that many assets. Right? That's what do you have? Like, you probably outsourcing most of your production. Yeah, it's all goodwill. You have just debt. And so they'll have to arbitrate and figure out whose debt is the most important. CrossFit's will probably be high on that list, but they're going to receive pennies on the dollar.
They're going to be behind all the banks. Yeah.
Right. Oh, that is a good point, Spin. That's a really good point. Which they're knee deep in bank debt. There's no way. So yes, if that theory is true, CrossFit's already entered into legal dispute with them. The athletes will never get paid.
Not even like through.
No, they won't get anything.
Like the government.
CrossFit will have to fund it all.
The government, no,
and they won't do that.
No.
They don't have insurance on
failing their business,
their payment. I don't know. I feel like there's some way, and the athletes just don't get paid.
CrossFit would have to pony up the $2 million.
And I would love to know the legalese on if that's even written in the contract of entering the games.
Now,
there's no way that is written.
But I will say, if they did that, I feel like they would win a lot of people over.
CrossFit.
If they
Yeah.
stepped in and
Yeah.
Yeah,
did
if
it.
they
I think they probably
or-
would. I think they probably would.
imagine being tier and giving the money to the athletes to the event that they didn't even sponsor. That would be amazing.
Well, this is what. Okay, here's my theory. What will happen? Okay. So since we're playing the Imagine game, people who are watching, all 205 people who are watching right now, Brian and Tyler know stuff that they just don't like to say, and they'll
I
end
don't
up.
know anything.
Okay,
This is all-
play for the crowd.
This is all
All right,
speculation.
I
I'm
promise
leaning,
y'all.
I'm leaning totally on my accounting degree right now.
They got like backroom talks with certain people that like
John.
just nobody knows about. And I just kind of find out off the cuff and yell about it. That's what ends up happening. But if Noble goes bankrupt and they can't pay their athletes, and I think CrossFit will use the CrossFit should say, we let 25% of people in the quarterfinals so we could pay the athletes. We knew this was coming. We needed the extra money so we could pay the athletes for their games since our Noble sponsor did us dirty and Noble's the bane of existence.
That sounds a lot like Can East and Can West games, and they're trying to set up the winter
Except
classic.
they actually will pay though. Like here in West
CrossFit
Can East
would.
didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
No,
saying
they-
they'd actually would. And
Right.
if you're CrossFit and that's the case, you should say that. Because like there's nobody that would be mad at you for that. That is like all good things, I feel like. I feel like that's the community taking care of each other. Is it not? Guys,
Go,
this
Tyler.
is worst case
Just
scenario.
did.
You have
Worst
to
case,
understand.
I
You have
think-
to understand. This is worst case scenario. Obviously, best case scenario, they get Noble pays them. But like worst case
No,
scenario,
worst case,
do you not
CrossFit
think
needs to do
that's a
something.
good outcome?
They need to step in and do it. They need to pay whether it's just going
I
in the
can't
hole for
see
$2 million.
paying
There's
for
no way, dude. They
somebody
have
that
to
they're
answer
not
to a board.
sponsoring.
If it's Greg Glassman, sure, they pay him. That ain't the way it rolls no more,
I don't
bro.
know. You start killing the sport if you do that. If they don't get paid,
If they don't get
What do
paid,
you-
I agree. I
They're
I
not
feel
going to
like
be
you
able to front the
cannot
bill
do that.
themselves.
Well,
They
then
don't
you
have
take
those
out a
assets.
mortgage.
interest rates are high right now.
Oh man, that's what would happen. CrossFit would have to pay them. At which point, if I'm tier, I know that CrossFit doesn't have the money to pay them. So I'm like, hey, let's just be friends. I'll cover the bill, and we're going to enter a 10-year contract.
100%. But I'm fine with that.
I'm milking the shit out of that.
I'm fine with that. I hope that's the way it goes, unless Nike wants to buy us out, and then Nike, you do whatever you want with us.
Now, here's where this goes next level, right? If they know that, they need to hide it right now, right?
They are hiding it.
Right. But you need to work that deal with tier so the athletes get paid before the shit ever hits the fan, right? So that you never look like you didn't have this figured out.
So like
So
the
do
athletes
you
would just
ever
get paid, but
say-
we don't know where the money came from. Like the athletes
Right.
don't know it came from Noble, or if it it
Right.
came
So
from-
do you ever
Right.
put out a press release about any of this?
I
Hey,
think
Noble
once
didn't
the
pay
athletes
us.
get paid,
No, you hide the shit out of that
why?
because you don't want the athletes to know that you didn't have their ass covered ahead of time.
You did though. You
Maybe
figured out a
not.
way. You got
No.
screwed.
No, you got
no,
lucky.
No. Yes, you got lucky. But
If
You
I'm
got
if I'm an
screwed.
elite athlete,
something out of your control, you got screwed by Noble. Yes, that's the facts of the situation. Right? They got screwed by Noble. Should this happen? They figured out how to pay the athletes, even though they got screwed by Noble. Like, I don't see in any way how that's bad. I feel like the athletes would be like, thank you for having our backs. I get you didn't know what you were doing, but thank you for having our backs.
see,
Listen.
but that to me, I think it's irresponsible because
Dunder Mifflin became the most profitable paper company on the East Coast, and they didn't know what they were doing the whole time, but they had a good attitude and they tried to figure out problems. Okay.
right. I would not be okay with CrossFit being like, well, we screwed it up, but we handled it. It's like, no, I don't want you to screw it up in the first place.
Right. I want you to have something in escrow, have money set aside.
Yeah. And this
It's
is
there.
all easy. Like Spin said, if you put this in escrow ahead of time, that's how they should operate, period. And I don't know why they wouldn't if they don't.
And then you be like, and from now on, this is how we're gonna do it. Brian Spin was onto something.
I said it. They'll never
You're
do
a
it.
multi-million-dollar company. How are you not thinking that years ago, 10 years ago?
Have you seen the stuff CrossFit puts out?
Small team. I get it. Yeah.
All right. FitFest. Little bit of information out there. 3 teams, 6 athletes, 3 men, 3 women. Headed up by Danielle Brandon, Emma Lawson, and Ella Wunger.
How do they pick the captains?
I don't know.
There's a lot of unknowns about this one. I do know a little background info on this one.
You want to start, Tyler? Then
No, go ahead, Spin.
Well, there's just very little information on it.
Kind of popped out of nowhere.
It's popped out of nowhere. Nobody knows what it is. There's like 2 days of competition. I think there's like 4 events or 4 kind of like time frames of it. We don't know the formats. Like they did this draft. I don't even know if it's like anywhere to see. Like I think that would be interesting to watch.
If we knew what it was.
If we knew what it was, what they were gonna do. Like it's I don't know what, like it's some exhibition.
I think it looks fun.
It has all the allure of something really cool.
Of an
and
invitational.
Yeah. And there's just not like everybody's like, you all were doing something? We didn't even know that
Yeah.
existed.
Yeah. It's kind of like an all-star game we didn't know about.
Right. Yeah, it's the invitational.
It's all the really good people for the most part. Like it's
no, they have had quite a few people hop out and new ones come in. Like they have had some backouts and stuff like that. But overall, I mean the roster's pretty solid. I like to hear more about what they're gonna do.
What do we know what day it is?
It's the first weekend in December. It's the same weekend as Down Under.
So
I believe
they need to like market it hard.
Yeah.
From here on out.
I didn't even know about it. And then I send it, I started talking about it with Heat 1 stuff. And I'm like, I think we need to do this. Like,
right.
But I wish I knew what it was.
You don't know how to do it though. It's like team events.
I don't know how to do it.
It's like an invitation. It's like the invitational, how it used to be with like sets of like 6 people on a team, right? And they're just gonna go at it. But it's not like USA and Europe. It's just 6 random top tier athletes versus 6 random top tier athletes, and they got drafted by their captains. Danielle Brandon, Emma Lawson, and Ella Wunger are the captains.
Which, by the way, no one's gonna come close to DB's team.
Can we look at the teams?
They're in a different
We'll talk about the teams real quick, and then we'll get to the 60 minutes.
All right.
Yep. Real quick. So Ella Wunger's team, Pat Vellner, Alex Kazan, Jack Farlow. So she drafted Jack out of Emma's grasp. Kelsey Keel and Yella Hoste.
Dude, I like that team. That sounds like a really good team.
That one's pretty solid.
She's got a really strong guy and a really strong girl, like to cover that part. And then she's got Alex Kazan and Patrick Vellner for all the fitness.
So Emma Lawson, who could not bring her boyfriend on, with Brent Fikowski, Lucy McGonigal, Nick Matthew, Jennifer Muir, and Enrico Zanoni.
Okay, so far Ella Wunger's team is so much better than Emma Lawson's team.
And then Danielle Brandon. They probably have the most experience. Danielle Brandon, Dallin Pepper, Ariel Lowen, Jason Hopper, Thuri Helgadottir, and BKG.
See?
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Yeah, Danielle Brandon definitely has the best team.
If we're just testing straight fitness, if we're testing,
no, I don't think there's a way Danielle Brandon's team doesn't win everything.
Even if we do like more niche stuff, that's the
the guys are better, hands down, on all of it.
On everything.
I don't know. Vellner's on the other team.
Yeah, but all three. I'm saying just the all three like straight
Yeah.
across. I
Yeah,
have
for
no
sure.
concerns the guys aren't.
Give me a niche thing, Tyler, and I'll tell you.
Well, so like Jack,
Something super heavy.
weightlifting, Jack can win.
If the weightlifting event, I think Team Wunger will win.
Right.
Gymnastics.
No, I think Daniel Brandon's team will win.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless it's pullovers and then hoppers toast.
He's been
and
working
then
on them.
endurance.
I think Daniel Brandon's team is going to win.
I might go
Yeah,
with
I
Emma.
think-
I'd go with Emma's team on the endurance.
Okay.
But like, here's the thing. I think Emma's like lesser people will bog them down.
Yeah,
Where Daniel
Enrico-
Brandon doesn't have
Sure.
any bad people.
Yeah.
Who is
Yeah,
Daniel
Daniel's got
Brandon's worst
Thuri-
people?
Thuri's the low-
Thuri Helga daughter, who's made the games like 6 times.
right.
Like, she has Zanoni, and Nick Matthew ain't endurance dude at all. Who else is on her team? Who's the other
Whose
girl?
team? Who's on
Lawson.
Ella? Oh, and Lawson. Nick Matthew, Fikowski, and Zanoni.
No, the girls.
Jennifer Muir, a semifinal athlete in Europe.
Jennifer Muir ain't touching any of these people.
And the
on
16, 17-year-old champion, Lucy McGonigal.
Yeah. Oh my God. Like that's like she's got really good guys on her team, like endurance wise, but like it's just her and Fikowski.
Right.
I agree with you, Tyler. Danielle Brandon's.
They're
What were these other two doing? I got a problem with their draft. For her to have that, like,
well, that's why we want to see it.
I need to see the draft. I agree.
Like, what happened?
I wonder if they just like put these 3 girls in a room and they were like, okay, draft who you want.
No,
now,
they were on a FaceTime call.
Yeah, there was some FaceTime call I saw on Instagram. I can't remember what account it was.
You see their first picks, and then that's it.
Yeah,
but it was just these 3 girls. And
like just those 3 on.
Yeah, just those 3 girls.
Yeah, if I'm any of these people, I'm having like a team of people helping me draft. Like John, like if this ever happened, if I were ever in this position, I would call you and Brian, just be like, draft for me. I'm gonna fuck this up.
I think we should have.
Yeah, we saw your picks at Rogue.
No,
so, yes.
I think we should have the analysts freaking pick the teams.
Well,
have a
and
team.
That's the thing. Like,
team
they
Z
should
score.
Be mated.
Team JY barbell, and then team spin.
They should be mated.
Like
with. How cool would that be?
Or team Sevon and team spin.
Yeah.
Versus team Talking Elite
Team Lone Ranger.
Yeah. I don't think they refer to themselves as that.
Okay.
So
I wasn't sure.
I was thinking that in my head, but I was like, they're gonna pick what they are sounded like, right? So that'd be so fun. Hiller, Sevon. Who would their third person be?
Friend.
No, Brian would stay away. Probably Taylor.
Yeah.
JR. No.
JR.
I think Taylor or JR. But
yeah.
And then it'd be us 3. And then Talking Elite would bring like Chase on or something. They might take Brian.
They got Sean, Tommy, and Lauren.
And Lauren Khalil. Yeah, that's what it would be. Yeah.
That'd be good. No, I want to see what it's about. I just like it's also
anything at all.
Yeah, like what is this? Let's help out. Tommy Payne. Wednesday nights are my lesson planning nights. It's so much more palatable listening to this show at the same time. Thank you. No, thank you, Tommy. All right. The last topic. 60 minutes. So I don't know about this. You don't know about this? 60 minutes.
Oh, this is the thing that he ranted on the text thread about.
This was
I must have missed this.
You did not see my story this morning?
No.
I'm interested to see what Tyler's opinion is on this because I feel like me and you have difference of opinion.
Oh, never mind. I know about this. Okay.
So how long would it take how long would this programming take you to complete from the time you walk into the gym to the time you walk out? So it's a 3-mile ruck with 30-pound. Then you do back squat, work up to a heavy, and then take 2 attempts at a 10-rep max back squat. And then a 5-minute AMRAP, max burpee box jump overs, 24-inch, 20-inch.
To put this in
it-
perspective for you, Tyler, Spin did a 3-mile ruck in 21 minutes, working really, really hard.
27,
Oh,
49.
27
saw-
minutes. Sorry. Working really, really
I saw
hard.
the
That was
breakdown.
hard for him. Really, really fast.
I saw the breakdown of this.
Do you want me to
Yeah.
answer first, or you want Tyler to go?
What you, John?
What's the
So
question?
I don't think you need to warm up for that 3-mile ruck. I think you kind of just put it on and go. You just start slow and then you finish slow. Let's just call that 30 minutes though. Is that okay? You okay with that?
Okay, I guess. Sure. Yeah.
30.
I took
feel like
I took 3 minutes to warm up.
okay.
Just kind of.
Well,
I ran
I'm just
400
putting it on
meters.
and going.
I stretched my quads and then I took off.
We'll go at a steady trot until we don't want to trot anymore. So I'm just going to say 30 minutes. I think
Okay.
that's fair. And then squat.
How much time do you take between the finishing the ruck and starting the squat?
10 minutes.
At least 15.
I'd say 10 minutes. Again, I'm not really going to warm up. I'm going to do 135 for 2. I'm going to do 225 for 2. I'm going to do 315 for 2. And then I'm going to do 405 for 1. And then I'm going to do 455 for 1. And then depending on what that felt like,
Yeah, this
I'll
isn't
do-
max out. You're just gonna get heavy, like a heavy
Right.
one, right?
I'll do that. After like 455, if it felt heavy and like
You're
it
done.
very well could be because I just did a 3-mile ruck, then I'll just stop there. If it felt super strong, we'll go to 485. Probably call it there. And then it takes, but that would take me maybe 10 minutes to do that with the 10-minute break. So like then that's 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. So now you're at
So we're
50.
at 50. We're at 50 minutes. Take 2 attempts at a 10-rep max. I'm only going to do 1 attempt. We don't need that second attempt. So I'm just gonna
My
put-
first attempt is at like 225, and then I'm just hitting whatever
Oh
happens.
no! I mean, you just did. Let's just say I stopped at 455. Right? It felt heavy.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
gonna put 385 on. Do it for 10 and be done. Okay.
Call it good, yeah.
Yep. So that takes 1 minute. And that's like the next part of the set, right? So then we're at 51 minutes. All right. And then if I'm supposed to try to get this into 60 minutes, I'll wait 4 minutes and then I'll just do whatever my time is, right? I'll do the 5-minute AMRAP at 55 and then just go. We'll see what it is. It ends at 60.
But you're not full intensity. You're not full intensity
That's
in that 5 minutes.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So if the goal of this is to like, hey, get in it in 60 minutes, I will have done it the right stimulus. If the goal of this is everything needs to be full intensity, I will take 60 minutes to do a max out back squat. If I really, really wanted to
Right.
have like
So-
my best effort on back squat, we're resting, we're warming up, we're stretching, we're knee sleeves, we're doing all the stuff. I'm resting 5 minutes in between sets because like I'm a power lifter at heart. So when I max out, I
get
take my
cold,
time.
though. After 3 minutes, I'm cold.
With a static lift, I'll take my time, big time. With an Olympic lift, I'm kind of with you. But and I think the heavier you lift, the more time you take in between sets. Like
Probably.
you can't repeat it as much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That wasn't a slight. I just believe that.
No,
Like the girls at our gym can't sit still. You know what I mean?
So this was a retest from 6-7 weeks ago. Same exact
Is
day.
it-
Like, so I guess the question is, would you rather do 3 with high intensity and take 90 minutes, or should you just do it in 60 minutes? Like,
And just
What's
see
the
what-
goal?
Yeah, see what happens.
what should the goal be?
The question for me is, what is the context? So is it get it done in 60 minutes, or is it written with the idea?
It's
that
one of the
like,
it's
hey,
one of the 60-minute type programs, online
So
programs.
if it says like 1 hour, power hour, 60 minute,
Right.
like if it's under that frame, I might not even do that many sets on the squat. Like I might make the squat 5 minutes. You know what I mean? I might
Right,
do
because like for me to get all 3 done in 60 minutes, like you don't go hard on the ruck, so you don't rest like 15 minutes, like Tyler said, which is kind of where I was. Like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm tired, like I'm dying, and then I was like, well, shit, now I got to try to do squats
My-
and everything else.
So if you have a 60-minute program, that's a class, WOD. And there's no way in hell you would ever program this for a class.
No, it's not class.
I mean,
it's just
you're
an
not,
online
talking
program.
with your people though.
But
Like,
even-
this is
even-
training. You're training.
But if I'm offering programming for people who are like, yeah, I want to do like 60 minutes, and I'm still not programming this. You know what I mean? It's a little. I just don't know what the point is, I guess.
Well, so I feel like if it's in a 60-minute setting, then it's meant to not be super intense, right? Like you're going to short your back squat a lot. That's what it's going to come down to. Or you're not
and the ruck. I mean, you're pretty much shorten all of it, like
except the burpee box jump overs.
and
But
that's that's really just I'm going to see whatever I have left in the tank.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, like what I said, I had like 7 minutes left. Well, I got 2 minutes of rest, and then I'm just going to do burpee box jump overs for 5 minutes.
If I get
Finish at the
50, I
buzzer.
get 50. If I get
Yeah.
40,
yeah.
I get 40. Like I'm done.
And if that's what the stimulus was supposed to be, that's what it is. If it's not supposed to be like that, and you're supposed to give a good effort, which
It's at least 90.
then yes, I agree. But like I don't think you should write stuff that you're not trying to give a full effort on.
Yeah,
Agreed. Or
that was
you don't
that
do
was
a
my
3 mile
that was
ruck
my
and then
part.
a
'Cause
heavy back squat.
I went and did the ruck and worked hard, and then I was like cashed out. So
done. Yeah.
that was kind of where,
So
I could see
do we
run
want
2
to
miles
talk
per
who
time.
posted it?
huh?
Do we want to say who posted it?
That is Josh Bridges programming, which I really like.
Right.
It's just
That one was weird.
that's to test week, and it was just like, oh, okay. There's like this week is extremely
Well, so
rough.
For
But-
a test week, I don't hate it.
but it's also a 60-minute program.
Right. So,
And so that's
if
the
this is
question,
like a
like, how you wanna
training
do it.
session, to me,
Are you like
to me, if
training
that's a
battery?
training
It's a
session,
battery test.
yeah, it's a battery test. I like it in that context if you're doing it as a test, but in a training context, I don't like it.
I think you swap the 3 mile ruck out for a 2 mile run. It's fine.
You finished it out a lot faster, and they're
Yeah.
not as tired.
You
Yeah,
got
I
a
get it.
2 mile run, 15 minutes, 15, 16 minutes, right?
Yep.
13 to 16 minutes. And then that's way less than 30 minutes.
Right. Yeah. No, that's
it's-
100%.
Is the next day an off day after that? I hope to God it is.
Oh
That's
no,
not that bad as far as
No.
volume goes, Tyler.
no.
Well, I
No,
mean,
it's some-
if you
it's some,
go-
like-
if you go intense at all of them,
Dude, I've had so many worse days than that, man.
It's not that it was impossible. It's more about whether should that be a 60-minute type marketed program, or should it be, hey, you get it done in 90 minutes, right? That's kind of where I
Yeah.
was thinking. And all these programs, whether it's HWPO, anybody has a 60-minute program.
right?
Oh, speaking of workouts, Tyler, I actually have a really good workout I think you'd be good at. It's a challenging one if you want to do it. I'm doing it tomorrow.
What is it?
15 ring muscle ups,
Okay.
25 deficit handstand push-ups, 4-inch deficit, 35 toes to bar, 1 mile run, 35 toes to bar, 25 deficit handstand push-ups,
Go back up.
15 bar muscle ups.
Okay.
So 15 ring, 25 handstand push-ups, 35 toes to bar, 1 mile run, 35 toes to bar, 25 handstand push-ups, 15 bar muscle ups. Handstand push-ups are at a 4-inch deficit.
We'll see how I feel tomorrow.
That sounds terrible.
If you want me to text it to you, I can text it to you. We can compare.
I
time.
can.
If you do that
You
workout,
should be really good at that workout.
if you do that workout,
should-
make sure you grab Thirdsy.
So you go to sleep right after.
That's what I'm gonna do. All right, guys. You guys can talk about
Good
that.
night.
I'm going to bed. Good night.
Good night.